Today's video is going to be all about how to talk more confidently in front of camera. If you have your own YouTube channel already, or if you've been wanting to start, you probably experienced something like this. You have a script, or you at least have some idea of what you want to talk about. You even rehearse a little bit before you turn on your camera. And then finally, you get your camera out and hit your record button. And as soon as that camera starts rolling, your head goes blank, you start stuttering, and you just suddenly cannot talk. It's almost as if you basically forgot how to speak normally. If you've ever experienced that, don't worry, you're not alone. But in today's video, I'm going to go over how I overcame my camera fright so you can also apply that same method and start filming right away. So the first trick I want to talk about is to think about it as a video letter to your loved ones. You might think this is really corny, and I agree to a degree, but this shift in thinking genuinely helped me get over my camera fright. So when I first decided I wanted to start a YouTube channel, it actually took me a whole 3 years more until I could finally start to talk in front of the camera. It's really weird when you speak in front of the camera, even though it's just you in your room and the camera is your audience, you get a very similar experience to a stage fright. The way our brain perceives that process is very similar. The biggest unlock for me happened when I was recording something for my husband. So a little story, we were looking for a new house to move to, and he was working crazy hours at the time. He couldn't come with me, but I also wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with the house that I picked out. So what I ended up doing was I grabbed my phone and I started recording the house. So it was a little mini real estate tour vlog, if you will. And I'll basically walk him through like, hey, so when you first walk into this room, there is kitchen to the left, and you go upstairs, and the first thing you see upstairs is the laundry. And this place has stacked like laundry washer dryer, and then to the right of it could be our master bedroom, where we could like turn this into a little other space. And I just started talking to the camera because I knew on the other side of this footage, my husband will be the one watching this. He's supportive. I knew there would be no judgment. And I even relaxed enough to start saying some jokes here and there. It clicked for me in that moment. I was like, wait, the actual act of filming is the same, but that little mindset shift of instead of talking to an unspecified audience and a bunch of strangers that exist online, all of a sudden you have a face to attach to, in this case, my husband. And all of a sudden, I felt so comfortable talking in front of camera. It was just like a night and day type of difference. I came home that day and I was like, you know what? I think I can start talking in front of camera now. So I turned on my camera again, and I basically imagined this whole process as I'm just updating my husband on what I've been up to, what's on my mind. For you, it could be your parents, your siblings, your best friend, cousins. I mean, it could be anybody who supports you. Basically, just make a video for the audience of that one person. And once you post that video online on YouTube, whoever else watches your video is just extra, because the whole point of this video that you're filming right now is for that one person. It's time for me to get to work, so I will catch you guys in my car. All right, I am on my way to work. Obviously won't be looking at the camera as much, so please bear with me. But the second piece I wanted to share is to basically state your observation. And what that means is kind of like this. I'm right now on my way to work, and I'm actually gonna stop by and grab some coffee real quick, because that's a little nugget of joy that I have throughout my day. I try to find those moments a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna grab a quick latte at my favorite coffee shop, and I'm gonna head over into the office. So what I just did right now is what I mean by state your observations, or in other words, context setting. So the reason this is helpful is because you're basically stating things that are very, very obvious, right? Like you don't have to think too much. You don't need a script to figure out what you're doing in that moment. It could even be like, oh, this is like 2 p.m. on a Saturday. We're going to, like, I don't know, farmer's market or whatever. It could be anything that you're doing in that moment. The reason this is helpful is because it's so easy to talk about that when you start recording and you start talking about the immediate just facts and context around you, it gets you talking. It helps you warm up a little bit without the pressure of like having to remember the script or the bullet points that you have of all the talking points that you wanted to hit in that video. It's like a natural way to start a video, especially if it involves a lot of talking.
I just got back from my allergist office and I just wanted to show you.
I'm finally gonna get some work done. And also I find that I have so many footage that I maybe will use in the future for like B-roll, maybe I never will, but I do have basically almost 2 terabytes worth of footage at this point. And the thing is, after like many months or sometimes a couple years after shooting that particular footage, it's really hard sometimes to go back and figure out what exactly was happening in that particular video footage. And it's really helpful when you first start like replaying the footage and you give yourself a quick reminder of like, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what's happening. And so it kind of like helps you jog your memory a little bit better. And also it gives you more context, literally, as to what type of footage to expect in that particular video. And not only that, when it gets to post-production, like editing phase, I don't always use this like transitional scene where I'm driving somewhere, walking to a new location or things like that. But it is a nice device to kind of move the viewer from one scene to the next. So if you find yourself using that type of transitional scenes a lot, then this like context setting can be really helpful. I personally find that I don't really use them in my footage that much. So for example, if I have a change of scene from like one scene to the next, I used to film so much of like myself driving to a place or walking out or going into a shop or things like that. But then, you know, you end up finding your own rhythm, your own editing style. For me personally, I didn't really use those footage for how much effort it took me to like get those footage. So I don't really film those a whole lot, but this whole setting the context, kind of like explaining what's happening, started because initially I thought that was like a really important piece of information to include. However, even if I'm not using those footages, I find it really helpful, just like I said, just to get you warmed up and get started with talking. And my third point is actually pretty similar to what I just mentioned about the whole context setting, is that especially when you're filming for long form, this probably doesn't apply to short form content creators. So if you make content for shorts, reels, TikTok, probably doesn't, like, you should probably do the opposite. But essentially what I always default to is provide way more context than you think you need. You might be wondering, how is that going to help me talk in front of camera? But the thing is, like, this is almost like a step-by-step, right? Like, this isn't all 3 steps at once. It's just like, first, you pretend like you're talking to your loved ones, or you at least like convince yourself that you are. And then second, you warm up before talking to the camera or getting to the point by stating the observations. Third is providing more context than you think the viewers need. So this then helps you practice really being able to continue the conversation with the viewer within your video. The thing that's different about content creation from, say, your regular conversation with your friends is that your camera doesn't talk back to you. Your viewers are not talking to you. You are talking to the camera, and preferably you're providing some valuable information to the viewer, giving people reason to even watch your video in the first place, right? And the best way to do that is by sharing as much as you know. And the thing is, a lot of the times, this is like the mistake that I made a lot in the beginning, where because I know exactly how my days went, how like what happened throughout the day while I was like filming my footage and whatnot, there were so many moments where I just assumed that certain things were obvious. But then from the viewer's perspective, they're just like, wait, what just happened? Why are you all of a sudden in this new location? What's happening? Like, just remember that the viewers only know as much as you tell them. So if you don't tell people what's happening, they have no idea of knowing. I know this is like a visual media, and a lot of the conventional advice that you see on content creation and filming and talking in front of camera is that you want to show rather than tell. But I genuinely think the tell part is still just as important, especially if you're a vlogger, you're just kind of like showing people what's going on. If it's like a sit down talking head video, then it's probably less of a problem. But you know, they're always just like, just show yourself at a coffee shop, show yourself doing something. But it doesn't hurt to also explain to people like, hey, I'm at a coffee shop, I'm trying to get some work done, and this is yada, yada, yada. That's really helpful. So do that. And also trying to provide more context and explaining things helps you, again, like it goes back to practice. It helps you practice talking. That is so important. This whole talking in front of camera thing, it takes a lot of practice. For me personally, I'm learning that I do not do well with scripted videos. Sometimes I'll script out my intro because like that 30-second intro is kind of important to let people know like what this video is about, what to expect, things like that, like setting the tone. But after that 30-second point, I feel like I just start sounding like a robot. And I'm sure this is also something that I can work on by practicing more, but I just kind of like the vibe of this more natural speech that I have. I'm also naturally like a yapper, and it's so crazy. I talk so much, I talk so well, I joke around, and like I have no problem talking with my friends. But again, like going back to the whole like talking in front of the camera topic, it was so odd. Anytime I turned on my camera, I was just like, why is talking so hard? But I'm like a born yapper. All of this comes down to practice, and that I will leave you with this final bonus point is to practice. Practice makes perfect. This has been said a million times by a million different people, by basically the entire humanity, and there's some truth to it. So practice makes perfect. Keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Bring your camera everywhere. Make it as accessible as possible so it's easy as take out your camera, press record, and you're ready to go. And you do that over and over and over again, and before you even know it, you're gonna be an expert at talking in front of the camera. You're not gonna feel super sweaty and nervous as you used to the first couple times you did it. Maybe even the first 100 times you film, you're gonna feel that way. And that's okay, that's normal, that's part of the process. I think the takeaway from this whole video is to not be too harsh on yourself, because we all go through that. We all experience that. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with you for not being able to talk in front of the camera. It's a universal, it's a shared experience. It's not natural for humans to talk to a freaking machine, aka the camera, and not to another human being or even your dogs. I talk to my dogs all the time. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. And if you have been wanting to start talking and narrating for your video, this is your sign. Go and film yourself talking in front of the camera, and I believe in you. If you ever post your first talking head video, let me know in the comment as always. And please like and subscribe. As a small channel, it goes a really long way, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.